We trust AI with so much, from the simple stuff like our search results to really important things like our job applications. But what if the very code that's powering our world is, well, built on a flawed foundation? Today, we're going to unmask the hidden biases in artificial intelligence.
And that brings us to the big question, right? Is this tech we're building truly impartial? Or are we just creating a really high-tech mirror that reflects our own, very human prejudices back at us? So to really get to the bottom of this, to understand AI's inherited flaws, we have to start with the original source code, us. Think about it. Our brains are constantly taking shortcuts. It's called unconscious bias. We make these snap judgments based on years of experiences and cultural conditioning, usually without even realizing we're doing it. And when we build an AI, we're essentially teaching it from the textbook of our own minds, flaws and all. And here's the crucial part. AI isn't born in a sterile lab, completely neutral. No, it's fed a colossal amount of data, basically the entire internet. And if that data is filled with our biases, our stereotypes, our blind spots, well, you know the saying, garbage in, garbage out. So how does this actually play out in the real world? We decided to put it to the test. We started with a pretty simple creative prompt, just to see what the AI would come up with all on its own. We kept the prompt deliberately open-ended, a Victorian scientist, a major discovery. We really wanted to see what the AI's default scientist looked like, without any nudging from us at all.
And what did we get back? Dr. Edmund Bellamy. Of course. The hero, the genius, the savior. The AI's imagination, when left to its own devices, immediately defaulted to a male protagonist. It's a perfect, almost too perfect example of its programming at work. Now, this is so much more than just a creative choice. It's a direct reflection of the historical data the AI was trained on. It shows us that unless we are super specific, the AI will just reinforce the stereotypes of the past. It becomes this cycle of bias, and the AI just keeps it going. Okay, so that's an example of an inherited, almost accidental kind of bias. But what happens when the bias seems a little more intentional? We decided to dig into the world of political censorship in AI. For this, we used DeepSeek, an AI model that was developed in China. We wanted to see how it would handle a sensitive political topic. So our first prompt was for a critical poem about a pretty controversial world leader. And you know what? The AI delivered. It came back with a surprisingly sharp poem, hitting on themes of fear, power, and nationalism. So far, so good. But then, we turned the tables. We asked for the exact same kind of poem, but this time, the subject was the leader of the AI's own home country. And the response? A digital brick wall. Sorry, that's beyond my current scope. Let's talk about something else. It didn't just refuse, it tried to completely change the subject. That's not a glitch, my friends. That is a feature, a deliberately programmed limitation. I mean, the contrast here could not be clearer. For one political leader, the AI is a free-thinking artist. For another, it's a state-approved censor. This isn't just a bias, it's a digital gag order baked right into the code. So what is at the root of all this? To find out, we have to look at what the AI is actually being fed. The data diet of most AIs is just incredibly unbalanced. It's a huge feast of information from dominant cultures, with maybe just a few scraps from marginalized voices. What this does is it creates a totally skewed worldview, like a funhouse mirror that distorts and sometimes just erases entire communities. And here's the hard truth. More data is not always better data. If we just keep feeding the AI from the same poisoned well, we're not solving the problem at all. We're just making it worse. We're amplifying the bias. So with all this in mind, what can we as users actually do about it? How can we be smarter, more critical consumers of AI? Okay, this is where it gets a little tricky. Is it bias if an AI calls a flying chariot from an Indian text a myth? Well, maybe not. What if it also calls flying chariots from Greek and Norse myths myths? Then it's just applying a uniform standard. The real problem is when it only applies that label to non-Western cultures. It's all about consistency. And here's the thing, we're probably never going to create a perfectly neutral AI because we're not perfectly neutral ourselves. So the goal isn't really to eliminate all bias, that's impossible. The real goal is to be aware of it, to understand it, and to fight against the biases that cause real harm in the world. So what's the game plan? First, just assume bias is always there, in everything. Second, don't just take the first answer you get. Dig a little deeper. And third, push back. Challenge the AI. Make it defend its position. You have to be an active participant here, not just a passive consumer. In the end, this whole quest to build a better AI, it's really a quest to build a better us. If the AI is a mirror, then it's reflecting our world, our history, our flaws. The real question is, are we brave enough to actually look in that mirror and start the hard work of changing what we see?